The Thickie's Pokemon League, where the best and the bold. Only beauty can compete, only legends are told. Flashing lights and roaring crowd, in the ring they take their stance. Only pros and beauty queens, here they all get their chance. Thickie's Pokemon League, the best and beautiful league. In the spotlight they gleam, living the Pokemon dream. From Bulbasaur to Charizard, strong and stunning and bright. Every battle's a star show, every match a pure delight. Electric sparks and fiery blaze, trainers shouting their cheer. This is where dreams are made, winning's our quest. Oh dear, Thickie's Pokemon League, the best and beautiful league. In the spotlight they gleam, living the Pokemon dream. The Thickie's Pokemon League, where the best and the bold. Only beauty can compete, only legends are told. Flashing lights and roaring crowd, in the ring they take their stance. Only pros and beauty queens, here they all get their chance. Thickie's Pokemon League, the best and...
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Tuesday night edition of the Thickie podcast, and the trade deadline is upon us. A lot of last-minute moves coming in just before the buzzer here, and we're going to be covering all of that with you here tonight. I'm joined in the booth tonight by Herondai and Machiavelli.
How you doing?
Doing good.
Greetings.
Glad to be here. Glad to have you two back in the booth. Let's start.
Always a pleasure.
With this trade we've got on the screen here, Landorus for Baxcalibur. Probably the blockbuster trade of the season, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, I've been dangling backs for like the last 2 or 3 weeks. I even showed it off a little bit, so what it could do. Just I wanted to get another Levitate Mon. Sneasler is weak to ground. Obviously, Crown is weak to ground without a Terra. I didn't want to really force Earthworm into a lot of uncomfortable positions. And the new guy Caterpie was shopping Lando. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was about to go to bed and got a notification said Lando I said, how you do? And here we are.
Wow. Yeah, a lot going on in that process. What are your thoughts as far as, wanting to move on from Baxcalibur? Did you not like what you see with the performance this season, or was there something else there?
I thought the performance was fine. I just think that our offense really runs through Crown and Sneasler, at times Poltegeist. Bax wasn't really happy with the usage rate it was getting. Bax should be, somewhat of a focal point, I think, on the roster. And, he was frustrated with the playing time. Caterpie actually told me he's looking to pair a physical Mon with Urshifu to really run some offense there. And, Baxcalibur and Lando was just the ideal swap for both sides.
Yeah, Herondai, what are your thoughts on this trade for both teams?
I think Mac is really taking the W on this one, in my humble opinion. Landorus, I think Landorus Incarnate provides more without requiring setup. My thing with Baxcalibur is obviously if you can't run Terra on it, it can be very underwhelming. And it requires, bulky D-Dance, and people know what you're going to do with it every time. So it's tough to use it.
Big fan of Landorus here. A lot of immediate attacking power and a nice speed tier there. Able to get over the hump versus a lot that Baxcalibur really just struggles to. So good piece of business there, I think. And I think that's a pretty good return there on Caterpie's side. The rookie off to a strong start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That being said, let's take a look at these rosters. We'll start with the Indigo Conference. And in the Indigo Conference, Mac obviously making the big move there, getting Landorus in. But we did see some other moves around the league. And these are really outdated rosters here that the producer has thrust upon me. Let's make sure everything there looks good. Everything there correct, fellas?
I think...
Unless there was a last-minute deal, we should be on track.
I think you're good. I don't see anything. I've been studying the the rosters last couple of hours. I haven't. No, I think it's fine.
Good deal.
No.
Herondai notably down to one Terra Captain here. Looks like the note needs to be taken off at Hitmontop.
Yeah.
But only one Terra Captain. What happened there?
Turns out Hisuian Lilligan as a Terra Cap is kind of not that good if you're not actually running a whole Sun team.
I see. Yeah.
It's just Hisuian Lilligan is held back, not in a severe way by its stats, but just enough that it makes it annoying to set up and use. And I was sitting there, I'm like, bro, if I get rid of Lilligan, I get rid of my only hazard clearer.
Right.
And then Hitmontop was there. I'm like, dude, Hitmontop is just more reliable in that scenario, and like Hitmontop's great.
Not a bad grab there.
It's just a give mom.
Yeah. I like Hitmontop. I've used it in the past. I like the utility it brings. I like the flexibility of the sets you can run. You can run Assault Vest. You can even run Choice Band if there's no ghost in the other team and you just want to spam close combats, you know. Sneaky good triple axle user as well with Technician. I really like Hitmontop value-wise in draft more than Lilligan.
I mean, I think my draft suffered from the beginning to end, really. I don't think I drafted that well.
No, our Caledon Sun was not exactly what people were expecting to see.
No, that is true.
But no, we're past that. I think the roster is shaped up pretty nicely. Rhyperior,
I like you.
A great Terra Captain every game.
I'm excited to use Rhyperior. Like Keldeo, I mean, I really like. I really love the top three. Like, I love our Caledon. Haven't been using it that great. But like Thunderous, Keldeo have been putting in absurd numbers, and Slitherwing too has been really nice to use.
Thunderous Therian has been in the MVP race before when it was on the team of Michael the Mink, I believe. So it's got some pedigree there. And looking onwards, Araquanid and Registeel were both shopped pretty heavily before the deadline. But apparently the offers just were not there, or perhaps not getting the return they were looking for. Kel and Dev both opting to stay pat, and Registeel and Araquanid will finish up their seasons on those rosters. Any other moves in the Indigo Conference that you two want to cover?
I mean, Chiva maintained pretty much the same roster, I think, throughout. I think that's something to watch for. I mean, the Dragapult change, Terra-wise, forgot loosely, like they stayed put. I think Limited Devs made their teams a lot better. Overall, I think Limit's team is scary with that Ogerpon Hearthflame. I think Lando T is a really scary mon. I get, in the builder go up against. I mean, what's it gonna do? It's got really good versatility there. And then just Dozo and Chansey just annoying to play against. I think Limit could scrape some wins out at the end of the season here, possibly spoiler round 1. 7 seed, 8 seed, wherever he lands. That's a tough matchup regardless. And I think Dev added a little bit more bulk like he wanted. Araquanid was dangled at the deadline. A lot of offers flew in, but he's staying, it looks like. And yeah, Blissey and Corviknight, one of the classic cores. Not as good as the Skarn Bliss, but Corviknight Bliss is still getting the job done.
Yeah, two very balanced teams at this point in time. Limit has a very nice top 6, not much on the bench at all, unfortunately. Does have Pikachu there. Probably would have liked to see that captaincy spin on Alchemy, but that's not where we're at. With that being said, we're going to take a look now at the teal rosters, where we did see a bit more movement, I believe. Maki making big moves.
A lot of shakeups.
Yeah, so there's a lot of transactions there. Gouging Fire, formerly of Greedent's team. Shaman Sky, formerly of the Judgy Camp, former Chicago. And then Zarude, formerly on Limit's team. A lot of big pickups here. One of the best available Terra captains, I think, in Zarude.
Yeah, oh no, go ahead.
Very good. I was saying, I think Maki's team is actually terrifying now.
Yeah, it's really good.
Is Cyclizar Shedtail banned? I don't know. I'm just curious. Is it?
Oh, it's allowed.
Dude, you got the Cyclizar Shed. Cyclizar's good in general. I think Cyclizar's a little underrated otherwise, right? But like, this Zarude is terrifying. Vaporeon is a pain in the ass. You got Shaman too. Like, there's kind of just a lot of power on that. Like,
good Terra cap.
The top 7 there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
even if you want to run Spadops too.
Well, you got Cramorant, Glorious King Cramorant. Can't forget about it.
Yeah, you have the option for webs with the Spide Ops. You have Trap Inch even. Could Arena Trap something like a Blissey in a pinch, right?
Mm-hmm.
No
Love
pun
draft
intended
picks.
there. Big moves from Maki. I think a Calm Mind Wish Vaporeon with that Terra. I don't even necessarily need Protect. Could be very frightening into certain squads, like Tutus, for example, who's probably cooked regardless, but
Yeah.
much more so now that Maki's really strengthened and shaped up that roster. We did see one move out of the DP camp late. Sceptile replacing Minior, who once again has struggled to perform in this league.
Yeah, Sceptile, looking like a lot of people are going to this shed tail offense, if you will, Mikey. And we've seen Maki use it to success. So of course, Soho's used it as well. But in talks with DP on the side, it's hearing that we could see some shed tail Sceptile shenanigans popping up there in the Diddle camp, whatever the hell his name is, the Don fans. That could be scary, passing a sub to a Valiant or a Palafin even. Something to watch for there in the playoffs, Bob.
Yeah, we're gonna slam that sub like a fat Subway spokesperson.
Oh, Jesus.
May he rest in hell. Let's move on now to Greedent's roster, who made some
Yep.
more
L.
moves. A lot of moves for the Greedent camp.
Huge L, giant L. Gave up on the green draft.
Yeah, says these are pickles, but I'm not seeing it.
I don't see a single pickle on the team.
Greedent has officially become a fraud this season.
Dugtrio may be
unfortunate
the
to
closest
say,
thing to a pickle on the roster.
That's true.
I mean, maybe. No, the Arboliva, it's an olive, right? It's not a pickle family. It's, it's something. I don't know.
I do think these are actually good changes, but yeah, he's
Yeah.
a bit cringe for not sticking with the green.
I think Gardevoir is one of my favorite mons to use in draft. That trace is just so good. I mean, it could flip a game in a heartbeat. You can trace a water absorb to get you some momentum. You could trace multi-scale. If you're not hosting Dragonite on your own team, it's really got a lot of good avenues to run. And then he gets the Chiyu, who's a little bit more on the Greedent side of where he likes to use mons that are a little bit more straight up, and then pair that with Dragonite setting up. I think his team got better.
I like Belly Bolt on this roster. I think it's very strong and able to trade very efficiently in a lot of matchups. And Arboliva, with the grassy terrain being set, only going to further boost that Belly Bolt. I'm excited to see what he does with it. Maybe he can rattle off some wins here late in the season. Caterpie, the newcomer, also making some moves, does have Baxcalibur on the roster now and has also acquired Mew, former Butler associate.
Yeah, we talked to Caterpie last night. Bit of a half hour, how long the talks went for the trade. It was just a lot of build up and was going to be any additional pieces going on, blah, blah. Both guys really wanted to keep their one-pointers. Volibee was possibly going to head his way, but I decided to just do a one-on-one. Asked if Bundle would move now that Bax is on the roster. He said he wants to keep Bundle. Even though it missed 3 Hydro Pumps last week, he's still confident in the scrappy pumper. And Baxcalibur and Urshifu gives him that physical attack that he was looking for. If you saw her versus the Swaggy series, you just need a little bit more oomph. And I think he picked it up with Bax.
A very balanced assault there. 2 very powerful physical wall breakers, a very powerful special wall breaker in Iron Moth, and a very fast and threatening special attacker in Bundle. And you've got Donphan for, like Stealth Rock and Rapid Spin support. And Sturdy, along with even Boots sometimes, a great way to check or counter something you'd otherwise have a lot of trouble with. But that roster is really strong and really well put together. Not much of a bench, unfortunately. But with a top 6 stacked like that, it may not matter. And Vikavolt, I think, very nice Terra Captain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gets Levitate too. So, if you need to switch Iron Moth out of a situation, it could help you out,
Yeah.
I think I think Caterpie's bottom 4 are like particularly good for a bottom 4 because they all serve a very niche purpose that otherwise you might not have an answer to specifically. Like there probably aren't a ton of matchups where Lurantis without Terra can just literally switch in as like an assault vest and just start hitting superpowers or leaf storms over and over again. But when he can, I mean, it's useful. Haunter has his uses, being able to set up spikes and other things. Destiny Bond Tech, Vikavolt's good, obviously. Webs, all that other stuff. Volt Switch priority, well, not priority, but momentum. Bastiodon, heavily underrated mon. Love that thing.
I hope I see some Bastiodon TV.
I would love to see
last
some
2 weeks. It's not a bad lead in some matchups. It really isn't.
reverse 6-0 sweep Bastiodon. That's what we're looking to see this upcoming week.
And those bottom four have really are four that really make you think in the builder, especially Vikavolt and Lurantis. Very threatening.
Hmm.
And Caterpie was very close to taking out Swaggy in his debut and would have got off quickly to a 2-0 start here in TPL play. Iron Bundle giveth and Iron Bundle taketh away. But a very strong start so far. Really hoping he can make it into the playoffs because I think he'd be a threat to anybody in the conference.
Yeah.
That said, we're going to look at some matchups here now.
Hey now.
Teal Conference, we've got Tommy Tutu versus Lily.
Whoa.
Somewhat of a rivalry here. These two do not like each other. Some history there. Tommy Tutu reportedly unhappy with Lily at certain points this season.
Yeah. This is big in the playoff hunt, by the way. Lily is 2-4. Greedent is 2-4. Judgy is 2-4. Tommy Tutu's 3-3 after starting off 3-1. A lot of shuffling, Mikey, towards the end of this season here. If Lily gets a win, that's really big. Catapulting right in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one does have big seeding implications. Based on the recent play, though, I think Lily's just looked a little sharper than Tommy Tutu has in recent weeks. So Tommy Tutu has had a tough schedule here of late.
Listen, one thing about the schedule, he did take down Swaggy 2-1. Let's not forget that, right? Just because he played, the Pirates and then, he played Soul last week, he usually thrives in those bigger rivalry games, right, Mikey? And it's where he tries to play spoiler a lot. I think he's really going to have to lock in this week. I think Lily's going to have some answers for him. I'm going to go Lily 2-1. Watch out for Fluttermane to really overwhelm Tommy Tutu.
Yeah, it could potentially. Ultimately, though, I like the Chien-Pao matchup quite a bit here. And Great Tusk, he's been hit or miss with this season. Hopes he can figure out what he wants to do with it here. Perhaps we see Duraludon a little more to provide the Stealth Rock.
Yeah, but I think the problem with Chien-Pao for him is he going to click the right button? He struggled to do that last night. He's got to do it this week if he wants to win. You can't click Psychic Fangs versus a pretty weak Crown. You got to finish off things here. I don't know. Lily's got the answers to what he wants to do. Volcanyon's a big piece this week. Watch out for that.
I think this is a matchup that Lily will be nervous in. We'll possibly see this one played very close to the deadline, possibly put off and delayed a couple times. And for that reason, I like Tommy Tutu here, 2-1.
Wow.
I'm gonna go with Lily 2-1.
Yep.
Because when I watched Tommy Tutu play, as soon as either Great Tusk or Chien-Pao is either dead or half HP, it feels like his ability to just start making moves just halts entirely. It seems to script or grinding halt. Once one of those is down, it feels like the rest of his team isn't really doing anything. I was only briefly able to watch against your series, Belly, and as soon as I saw Chien-Pao go down right away, and I was like, dude, he doesn't have anything.
Oh yeah, now I'll definitely.
So cooked.
I will definitely agree to you with that. Yeah, when I was playing him last night, game one, once Hatterene Draining Kiss to Chien-Pao, I was like, wow, I win. It was 6-5, but I felt like, I agree. I think his team's a little lacking in the department of, versatility. I think it's every amount of straight up for him. That's what makes prep a little bit easier for some people. Prepping against a team like that, even though he has really good mons, Chien-Pao, Sarah Ledge, Great Tusk, really predictable at times, and sometimes a little bit more unorthodox players like Lily, tougher to prep for, as Will has said. You got to prep for every mana on Lily's bench, whereas Tutu, you really are only preparing for top 7.
Well, you're not preparing for a Alolan Vulpix, right? Or probably Colossal. It's looked pretty weak this season.
No,
Tutu has some good answers into the biggest threats on Lily's roster. You've got Zapdos countering the Galarian Zapdos, and the Iron Treads pretty effectively. Also low kicks. The static really deters them from wanting to attack you as well. And even the bench here, I think Duraludon and even Swallow could play a role here. I think Tutu's going to get creative. I've got him 2-1. We'll see how it plays out. Next up, myself versus Frosty P, the reigning champion.
This is right up there, I think, with all due respect, me and Shiva's series as one of the series of the season. I think this one's going to 3. I'm gonna lean with Mikey here. I think DP has looked vulnerable at times. I know Mikey just came off a scrappy 2-0 loss to Chiva, but I feel like the worst time to play somebody like Mikey is off a loss, and DP's been ghosting. Haven't really had to lock in yet. I think this is gonna be a week where he's gotta. It all depends where he's at, but I know I like Heat Ran in this matchup.
I got Mikey 2-1.
Yeah,
Not too much to be said. I think it's just two good players just playing the game, and I just got faith in Mikey. I don't know, my glorious King Mikey. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, we like the energy.
Yeah,
I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, we're coming to send a message in week 7. Unfortunately, it's DP who finds himself in my way. Only this time, I hope he'll step up and play the series, and we don't see a repeat of the week in which he was supposed to play Swaggy Boy.
I expect DP's head on the Peckerton Pike with those words.
That's the goal, and we'll move on now to Greedent versus Maki.
Yeah, no offense to the pickles. This may be a Amber Alert for any pickle in the area of Maki's house. This is going to be a shellacking. This is going to be a brutal week for Green. I liked Maki before the moves, and now I like Maki even more after the moves. Vaporeon is going to be annoying as hell for Green this week. Just even sport, and doesn't even really have to tear it here if he does. Maki doesn't want to, but I got Maki 2-0, locking in for the playoffs.
I like Belly Bold here. I think it's got a good matchup. I think Belly Bold could be a very tough out for Maki, but ultimately I think the sub pass into those two formidable Terra captains, along with Shaman Sky and Gouging Fire, and even Spectrier to an extent, probably going to be too much to overcome for the Greeting camp. And I've got Maki here 2-0.
I think Maki will win. I'm gonna go with 2-1, just because I think both Greedent and Maki have stronger rosters now, and they're both locking in a little bit more.
Yeah, you could potentially see something like Chi-Yu really pop off here, right? Tough matchup for it with the resist to its stab that we see there. But Zaruj, really not wanting to switch into Chi-Yu at all, and Tinkaton, it's in a similar boat. Could force some really tough positions for Maki. We'll see how Greedent really leverages it, and if he's able to get some value out of that Arena Trapdog trio. With that being said, Frisian versus Caterpie, and I think this one's a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, both guys really need a win here to further their chances of making the playoffs. I mean, Frisian, this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. I'm going to go Caterpie though. I think what I've seen from Caterpie, even though in a small segment of what he displayed, I just think the competent roster right now. I'm gonna go Caterpie 2-1. I think Frisian's good enough to scrape a win off him. Look for McGearney here in this matchup.
Yeah, and he's got some decent matchups here. Iron Bundle is tough for just about anybody. Having McGearney really doing you a lot of favors here, though, especially as just like a deterrent to Urshifu, spamming Wicked Blow. But Caterpie, when you look at the rosters, just putting them up next to each other, I mean, it's hard not to choose Caterpie, right? Frisian, I think, is capable. But just the matchup on paper and what we've seen out of Caterpie so far, I think I'd have Caterpie winning this one 2-1.
Yeah, I think Moth is going to hurt. Just to add on to what I was saying, Moth is for McGearney to kind of really safely set up, without boosting its speed,
Yeah, having Clodsire going to help with the Moth quite a bit.
Sure.
Could see, the grassy terrain is still going to be tough. Halucha, if it gets a boost, could be good night for Caterpie. Herondai, any thoughts on this one?
I still gotta lean like 2-1 Caterpie, just on paper. I mean, Caterpie's clearly competent at least from what I can tell. And if Frisian brings metronome on anything, he's getting 2-0, 7-0 both times.
Yeah, no metronome this week, please. That is per the producer. I'm hearing.
That was pretty
And
fun,
he needs to
though.
win.
That was
He
fun,
needs to win.
though.
He can't play around. He needs to
Yeah.
win. He's got to make sure he gets in the
The
playoffs.
final matchup in the Teal Conference, unlikely to be played. We've got Judgy versus Swaggy Boy. I think Swaggy Boy a clear favorite here.
Yep.
Judgy on the hot seat, may not have that contract renewed next season. Made some moves to the roster, but if you're not even here to play with the team that you've drafted and now edited, the producer questions not only his dedication, but his integrity and really his status as a man.
Yeah, if it does get played, I like Darkrai for Swaggy in this matchup a lot. Latias, how you doing? Good night. See you later most of the time. Even Ogerpon Cornerstone takes good chip. Urshifu, yeah, I don't know. If it gets played, Swaggy's going to have a good time with Darkrai against
I
this
think
team. Even
matchup
Latias.
wise, yeah, domination. Swaggy wins 2-0 if it gets played, but it probably won't. We'll move on. Not much to talk about there. We've got
Thank you.
Kel and Sunny in the Indigo Conference. Kel fresh off a tough, scrappy victory against Swaggy Boy, actually.
Yep.
A great game there.
Yeah. Kel's on a heater. Kel 2-0 decisively.
Yeah, Sonny, so far really struggling to find his footing in the league. I think that one's probably a comfortable 2-0, but did make some moves to the roster, so a little shake up there for the Sun attack. But Kel, I think, has proven to just be more consistent and better overall. So, Veli Cyndaquil, much of the same. Cyndaquil likely not going to take a game off the #1 seed in the league. And Forgot Limit is much more interesting than those two matchups. We've got.
Yeah, hopefully it gets played.
Hopefully it gets played. Yeah, that's the,
I got a little more
that's
faith
the
in
tough
this
part.
one. Forgot did get the activity win over the Judgy camp.
I kind of like Limit a little bit.
I like Limit here, man.
I like Limit's when I played Limit. I mean, there were some roster issues there, but I felt like he could play a lot better than he did. I just think he's a better player, and it's like if Limit's locked in, I think he's gonna beat Forgot. But Forgot has a strong roster as well, and he's put up quite the performance this season as well.
That Terrifier Cudgel is gonna hurt, and there's really not a ton of resistance on that team.
Yeah.
If I had to guess,
I think it'll be a good one though. If it gets played 2-1, whichever way it goes.
Yeah, I'd like to see Limit step up and really lock in this season. I think this could be a good week to do it as we approach the playoffs. Forgot, maybe a bit rusty having not played this week.
Yeah.
I got Limit 2-1. I think the rust definitely is a good point there, Mikey. I think Limit's in desperation mode right now. I think, you really got to start stacking wins. I think he gets the job done 2-1.
Well, that's what it's all about. You got to get these wins. Let's take a look here. I'll say 2-1 as well, and that seems as though the booth is in agreement. Chiva versus the Great Herondai, who's in here with us. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd preface that with a great.
The Great Herondai likely to fall versus Chiva this week. No way around it.
Yeah, Chiva's tough, man. One of the toughest players I've ever played.
Well, I think it might be the best draft. Like in my opinion, might be the best draft.
Very solid.
I agree.
Yeah, a lot of options there. Even Vileplume looking very impressive as of late.
Yeah.
We're going to get creative with it. We're going to get a little jiggy with it this week.
Yeah.
We got
no metronome. No metronome. I'm not going to do that again. No metronome.
No metronome. Herondai 2-0 in the chat from both Dear Konami and Call Me Seto Kaiba, one of which I believe is Frisian.
Yeah.
Big Herondai supporter there. I got Chiva 2-0, unfortunately. Like you said, it's a great draft. No shade, but I think it's significantly better than your draft, and I think it'll be an uphill battle.
I agree. Definitely.
Yeah. Now, finally, Willis and Dev, and this one's exciting because these two do not like each other.
Rivalry game, and it'll be on Monday Night Thickie according to reports. I think it goes to 3. I'm gonna lean Willis. I'm leaning Willis. I liked what I've seen out of the kid.
He's been locked in this season, and I think he's one of the favorites to make the conference finals. That big 3 of Veli, Willis, and Chiva thus far, very dominant in that conference. And I think Willis gets it done 2-1 over Dav. It's one that I think he's really going to lock in for. I hope so, anyway. Willis has been fickle at times. with regards to his effort, as we saw week one. But, rattling off 5 straight wins since then has maybe altered the mindset a little bit. I like Willis 2-1 here. I think the roster is just a bit better. Um, has a lot of options, and he's really
Mm-hmm.
proven to be a top builder in this league.
Yeah, I mean, off the rip, Ogerpon Wellspring looks really good here. Especially once a rack when it goes down, you can pretty much click Cudgel versus almost everybody in the team, even good chip if more Moon wants to switch in.
Yeah, Willis in the
And you can
chat
really,
there says, I hate Dev, and that feeling is reciprocated. Uh, Dev says, I hate Willis ever since I won last season. That checks out. Yeah, like I said, these two do not like each other. No love lost there. Rivalry game. Yeah,
yeah.
Machiavelli, pick back up where you left off.
Yeah. So I got distracted, but they're throwing punches right now in the TPL locker room behind the scenes to see if we can get a replay of that. But yeah, Ogerpon looks really good here. Dev is definitely going to try to lean on setting up with that Blood Moon Ursaluna. Can he do it? I don't know if Willis is going to let him do it. I think that's the problem. I think he's going to have tech for it.
Yeah, tech as simple as Encore, right? To shut that down on the
Yep,
on the Ogerpon. Encore, a big thorn in the side for Dev, actually, if you look at a few members
really
of that
is. Yeah,
roster. But
even against Corv.
having a rock when it is kind of big into Ogerpon, though, it's nice to be able to switch that in. Can run a more heavily defense invested set. Still gets smacked around by Power Whip, but what really switches safely into Ogerpon?
Exactly.
I'm curious to see what Dev can do against Willis this week, but I think Willis is my favorite. 2-1, though. I think this would be one of the closer series. With that being said, now that we're done with the matchups, let's take a quick look at the standings, see how things are shaking out. I can't see the numbers there on the side due to the Discord overlay. We'll get that out of the way for a second. Top three, or top four, I should say. Myself and Willis tied for the third place slot. But number one and number two, no surprise. Machiavelli undefeated, and then Shiva only lost to Machiavelli. And then my only lost to Chiva, so a little bit of leapfrog there, and everything kind of positioned the way it should. Note to the curator, maybe me and Willis for a rivalry week sometime. Been quite a while since we played. Rounding out the top five is DP, only lost due to activity versus Swaggy Boy. And then Dev, a respectable 4-2 former champion. That's a stacked top six if I ever saw one. Forgot creeping in there. 4-2 now with the activity win over Judgy. Solid season. And then Kel off a very nice performance against Swaggy Boy. Frisian and Swaggy round out the top 10 at 500 apiece. What stands out to you here?
I think it's a good mix. It's not really all one conference there. At the top. I mean, top two Indigo, and then Teal 3, Teal 5. I think it's a good balanced mix. I don't think it's like boom, 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 all one conference.
A good split compared to what we've seen in seasons past.
I agree.
I will tell you, Butler's disappointed with the win. We wanted the number one seed and the differential. Instead, we're number 3 now. Still number 1 in the conference. That'll obviously be up for grabs this week. Myself and DP battle for the 1 seed. Note to the marketing department and the producer. Forgot, I think, has kind of flown under the radar, but he's proven to be very capable this season. And Kel as well, I think, somewhat maybe forgotten about when talks of the top coaches in the league, but definitely up there in my opinion.
Yeah, I just think Kel's had a tough schedule when it boils down to it. But I think Kel's got potential to bounce back. Probably finish 5-3.
5-3 would be a strong finish for anybody in this league. This
I
is
think
probably as tough as the league's ever been.
I think she does it. I do.
I think she could. I think Swaggy has potential to finish 5-3, and so does Frisian. Realistically, everybody in that 2 to 10 range could finish 5-3, but based on some of the matchups we saw, very unlikely. And with Willis, Dev matched up, and myself and DP, that's going to split some of that difference. Unfortunately, Valley gifted a bye week this week.
It's tougher than you think. Some people taking games off people.
Yeah, do you expect that to happen?
I might let it.
Well, that's not competitive at all. Producer very unhappy.
There could be some stars rested this week to get some rest
Yeah,
to the playoffs. So.
a good time to try the bench out, see what's there.
Yep. Yeah,
Um,
Voleby likely to get the nod. Where you're hearing that Klowitzer has been cleared to go. Landorus looked like it's taking his debut.
Notably, Cyndaquil is rattling off more wins than he has in past seasons, too. Definitely improvement there. I think the roster really lets him down quite a bit, to be honest with you.
Sure.
And then Dev says if I beat Willis 2-1, I think we end up tying. Yeah, but then you've got the head-to-head, right?
Tiebreaker. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got the head-to-head. Yep. It would go to head-to-head.
Yeah, you'll have the head-to-head if the differential ends up the same. Important to note, these tiebreakers will start mattering very soon as we approach the final weeks leading up to the playoffs. That being said, Dev says he's going to make sure it's a 2-1 victory. He's going to let Willis win one. Out of pity, he says, for a nasty guy. That's a quote from the Dev camp ahead of this matchup. Like I said, these two don't like each other. Willis is shouting expletives, and Cadster is escorting him out of the building, and that is all, folks.